Cold email might not work for you. It doesn't work for a lot of businesses. And so this video is just explaining kind of what I've seen between the businesses where it does work and the businesses where it doesn't work, regardless of how much effort you actually put into the outbound or how skilled the person who's running the outbound is. So I've ran a lot of outbound campaigns. I've ran many good campaigns. So you can pause the video. If you know outbound cold email metrics, these are pretty decent. And I've also ran a bunch of bad campaigns that just don't get any results and have low reply rates. And so what I've seen is that the main thing that actually affects these two things is your offer and your targeting, but it's a bit more specific than that. And so I broke down the sort of key aspects of that and what I've seen works and what I've seen doesn't work. So this is how to make cold email work, or more specifically, how to see if it will work for your business and if you should even do it. So you have to remember, cold email is a lead generation channel. Why are you doing cold email? To generate, usually it's booked calls, booked appointments, or I mean, there can be other reasons. But is cold email the best lead generation channel for your business? That's the first thing you got to answer. Or would your time better be spent running ads, pushing content, or doing other things for lead generation? Right? Like, this is a lead generation channel, but there's other channels. And so why are you doing cold email? Why aren't you doing something else? You have to factor in the opportunity cost. So for offer, the first thing is you want a medium to high ticket price. I say at least around $5,000 LTV. It could be a bit lower, but this is just to make the metrics profitable. So if you look at some of my campaigns here, these are decent metrics. And to get better than this, there's a bit of a diminishing returns curve. And so, okay, these are all different and it depends on the offer or whatever. But there's a certain point where to get better metrics, you have to put in so much more just to get slightly better metrics. It's not really worth the effort. And so there's a kind of range of metrics that you're probably going to get for different types of businesses and pairings of offers and targeting. And to make those metrics profitable, you have to be at a certain ticket price, right? So a neat way to conceive this is that if you're selling something that's worth $10,000 versus $1,000, the difference in metrics that you're going to get is definitely not a 10x. So selling something that's more expensive is going to be way easier over outbound. Although I've seen many people succeed with lower LTVs than this, this just is a range that makes it easier. You want to be in this sort of area, and that could be like $1,000 a month retainer or something like that. Then front end. So be able to give something upfront to pull them in. When I say a front end offer, what I'm really trying to convey is this: you don't want to make outbound work for your offer. You want to make your offer work for outbound. So you should be willing to add like the flexibility into testing different sort of variations and different like ways of framing and positioning and even just presenting your offer over outbound. And that's not just the way that you say it, but that's actually what you are offering them. So you might add a guarantee, or you might add some sort of lead magnet or some sort of risk reversal. And keep in mind, to different like targeting, sometimes different risk reversals will actually make your offer worse depending on how they respond. But for the most part, it makes your offer better. All right. It does obviously depend on who you're targeting and you want to test it, but it's a very good to have. Then next, you want a quantifiable outcome. So what you're pitching should be very easy for them to quantify. If you're trying to pitch a custom solution and you say, hey, I can build you a custom AI software, it's easy for them to quantify what building a custom AI software is. Right? Of course, they know you're doing that, but the outcome should be quantifiable, not just what you're doing. Right? So what are they going to get from you building them a custom AI, whatever, and adding AI into their business or giving them this security thing? What are they going to get from that? It should be very easy for them to understand that, and it should be tangible results, right? Then, low risk, time to results, because cold traffic does not care about you. For all of these, there's different ways of making different things work and how you frame it. But to start, it should be low risk. And that doesn't necessarily mean just a money back guarantee. That might mean on your website or on your personal brand, you have enough social proof to show them that you actually know what you're doing and that it is low risk for them. So it can be many different things, but realistically, if they don't know you, something needs to lower the risk for them to actually want to buy from you because they've never heard of you, they don't know you. Low time to results really helps with the low risk because if they don't know if it's working for, let's say, 6 to 12 months, then they can't trust your word until you've been working together for that long. Because if they can't see if it's been working for 6 to 12 months, then that trust isn't built for so long in the relationship, right? So you ideally want something, some indication that, oh yeah, I actually did make the right investment. Yeah, this is working. Early on in the relationship, there should be some sort of positive feedback. Then for targeting, ideally you want to TAM over 30,000 people to just make the volume possible. This is also about the metrics, right? You want to send a certain amount of emails per day. This is the approach that I do for cold email. Some people do the manual cold email where they'll send like 20 a day and get really, really good responses. That's not my approach. This is my approach. And for me, if I'm taking on clients, they need to have a TAM of at least 30,000 people because usually every lead you'll message every 3 months. And so then you can target 10,000 people a month. If you hit them with 2 to 3 email sequence, then that's 20,000 to 30,000 emails a month at the lowest target addressable market of 30,000 people. Then ICP inside of TAM. So niche segments of your TAM for more relevant outreach. This isn't 100% needed, but it really helps because if your offer is just built for anyone, then there's very little relevancy in your outreach and it seems spammy. Because when you're reaching out to someone, it doesn't feel like it's for them. It feels like an advertisement, not a one-to-one outreach, which it should be written as. So this definitely helps. And for example, let's say you work with contractors. Instead of saying this offers for any contractor, you can be like, oh yeah, I can help you as a plumber get more water heater jobs or something like that. Very specific, and this will help. Part of this can also just be the framing of how you pitch it. Then they obviously need to be findable. Usually this is not an issue, but this is a large reason why I only do B2B outreach, business to business, because their contacts are findable. If you want to do B2C outreach and you're just trying to find consumer emails, there's zero intent, right? You can't find any intent about these random consumers easily. So when you're reaching out to them, it is spamming them because your offer isn't meant for them. And so if you're reaching out to someone with a relevant offer for them, it's by definition not spam. But if you're reaching out to someone without knowing if they even need what you're reaching out for, that is spamming people. So because you're reaching out to a certain type of business, you know what types of problems that business has, then it's not spamming them and it is just good outreach that you're doing at a high volume. So make sure they're findable, usually on like a Google Maps or LinkedIn databases are the two main ones I'll pull mine from. So LinkedIn could be like Apollo, Sales Navigator, a lot of different of those large data providers get their data from LinkedIn. And then Google Maps, you can build Scraper or scrape from Applify, Outscraper, etc. There's a bunch of different places. Then responsive. So you want to be selling a service to someone that's actually going to be responding on email. Some different types of contractors don't really like to reply to their emails, or selling a service to only enterprise CEOs would not be ideal because they would probably be hard to reach, right? And so this also usually isn't an issue, but just make sure that whoever you're sending emails to actually replies to the email, actually checks their email, and would be responsive to an email. So I hope this kind of simplified it and made it clear whether cold email will or will not work for you. If you really don't fit these criteria, honestly, cold email probably is not the best lead generation channel for you. If you do meet this criteria and you want to start doing cold email, drop a comment or send me a message on like X or something, and I'll help you with anything you need. I'll give you some advice, or you can book a call in the description and see if you'd be a fit to work together. Subscribe.